Moving on to topic number 8, Erod. Erod ain't it, and it's a great topic name right there. But yeah, hey man, what do you got to say about Erod and how he's slinging that thing?
Since the Red Sox acquired Eduardo Rodriguez, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. It was back in 2015, so 6 years ago. We've all thought he could be a middle of the rotation starter, a guy who he's not going to be an ace. He's probably not even going to be your second best starter. But I think people thought, in due time, as he gets older and gets more experience as a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball, that he could become probably your third starter. He's a big pitcher. He can throw hard. He's got some good breaking ball stuff. And he has shown flashes. But the biggest thing with Erod, I think, over his career is, number one, he just can't get past that, 5th to 6th inning where the hitters are seeing him for the second and third time, and he just can't get out of the 6th, it seems like, all the time. And when he gets to the 7th, it's a 6 and a third. It's never a 7-inning or an 8-inning game, never mind a complete game. I know that's kind of a dinosaur now in Major League Baseball, but he just never gets to the 7th. So he's just one of those guys that I just don't think he's gotten to that level that we all expected him to at this point. Right now, his ERA is over 5. I believe he's averaging about, 5 1/3 innings this year, which if you want to be a middle of the rotation starter, you got to get at least 6 innings. And I know the starting pitcher it's very different now in Major League Baseball, especially in the postseason, where you only really need your starters to go 5, and then you kind of just let your bullpen, ride out the rest of the game because you only have so many games left in the season. But during the regular season, if you're going to be a middle of the rotation starter, you got to go at least 6 innings and go well into the 6th inning, in my opinion. And if you're going to do that too, you can't carry an over 5 ERA. Now, I know last year Erod, essentially he didn't opt out, but because of he got COVID, and then he had this breathing problem, and he had chest pains and everything like that. They just kept him out of the season last year. So I'm sure some of this is just, a continuation of what he had last year. Who knows if he's still dealing with the after effects of COVID. He got it so early, back in, I think, April or maybe even late March that, it's been more than a full year now that he's recovered from it. I don't know if there's still continuing effects from COVID, but just that, plus he doesn't go late in games, and he just never seems to be in shape, which I think is one of the reasons why he can't go longer in games. So I'm just almost disappointed in Eduardo Rodriguez. I was watching him over the weekend, you're just not a middle of the rotation starter. I think he's a 4th starter at best, and I think that's all the Red Sox fans can hope for right now.
I'm going to take my time to complain about how much baseball players get paid, because I think they are completely overpaid and not worth it. And this is just one of those things that proves it, right? He is really not worth his contract right now. And to me, that happens too often in baseball, and it happens too often with pitchers, especially. And we've talked about it in the past, how, the pitcher is like your quarterback. So you've got to rely on them, but they also get paid like quarterbacks, okay? And so it's one of those things where if they don't produce, well, great. Well, now we've got a lot of money that's just kind of sitting on the bench or doing nothing for us. Or like you said, he can't go late enough in the game, and we're having to go to the bullpen so early that we're overstretching our bullpen. And maybe we're going to have to start paying those guys more money. And not to mention all the other starters we have on the roster making huge amounts of money. So it's just really one of those things where, like I said, I think first off, baseball players are overpaid, especially when we're comparing them to hockey, football, or basketball. I think they're extremely overpaid. But it's really one of those things where, I just don't think Erod is worth the value of his contract right now. I hope the guy bounces back. Like you said, having that year off, I'm sure it's affected him, having to knock the rust off and come back. But hey, man, it's time. We need you to come back. We need you to start playing worth your contract. We need you to start playing better in the rotation, because as a Red Sox fan, and I'm sure all the Red Sox fans around the world, and even as a Boston fan in any sport, we don't want to lose. We expect to win. We want to win. We want a challenge for championships. We are the city of champions. So we need to have championship rosters. And this is one of those things where I just don't think – I'm not sure this Red Sox team is built for a championship yet, but it's so early in the season, we'll have to wait and see. But I think it's also one of those things where, like I said, I don't think Erod is living up to his contract.
Yeah, no, I think you're right there. I think, if you look at starting pitchers in Major League Baseball, you see how much money they get. You kind of question, are they worth the contracts that they are doled out? So that's a good question. I just think with Erod, COVID, having COVID last year could have completely turned his career upside down. So I don't want to make assumptions about his health and things like that. That could be the case. That could be why he's sort of struggling this year. But, I think what's exacerbated the problem is that, Chris Sale's still recovering from Tommy John. We're not sure when he's going to come back. Could be, in a month, could be July. We'll see when that happens. But you don't really have an ace. Luckily, a lot of these other starters in the Red Sox, Richards, Pavetta's been okay. He's pitching tonight. And Evaldi has been pretty solid. So the rotation's actually been, I think, a little bit better than everybody's expected, except really for Erod. So I think that's another thing, too, is, he was expected to maybe be like the number 2 starter this year. He just hasn't got there. He just doesn't pitch enough innings, and he just hasn't gotten to the point where you can really rely on him. One of the biggest things about an ace in Major League Baseball is if the team's on a losing streak, then you got the ace coming up the next day. You expect the ace to be the losing streak stopper, one that kind of just gets in there and shuts down the other team. Even if your team's not hitting well, you win 2-1, 3-2, 4-2, something like that. And Rodriguez just isn't anywhere close to that. So we'll see if that changes throughout the year. A lot of things can change in baseball from May till September. So we'll see what happens. But if that's all we got to complain about the Red Sox right now, because they're still in first place as of now, anyway.